DoubleTake Diaries. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of DoubleTake Diaries. You already know who it is. It's Sinz. Yeah. It's such a blessing, such an honor, and a privilege to be back here with y'all on the couch. Yeah. There's a lot going on. outside. And really, I wanted to take this opportunity to circle the block and hop back in to the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion debacle that's going on right now. Man, they saying there's new evidence that proves Tory's innocence. This is crazy, man. Tory Lanez's legal team drops bombshell evidence that challenges Megan Thee Stallion's shooting conviction. Now, Tory Lanez has been in jail for a couple years since the incident has happened. There's a lot of speculation going on. A lot of people are trying to, give their perspective on what they think happened that night. But in present day, Tory Lanez's legal team has launched a new website. Okay, this website is 36hourslater.com to present previously unseen audio and video footage from the 2020 shooting of Megan Thee Stallion. They also dropped, along with that, a 35-page presentation aimed at proving the rapper's innocence. Man, this is insane. One of the most significant pieces of this evidence is the testimony from Sean Kelly, okay, who is the sole independent eyewitness from that night back in 2020. Okay, Kelly claims that he saw a woman who was identified as Megan Thee Stallion's best friend at the time, Kelsey, exit a vehicle and engage in a violent confrontation with Megan. This escalated into a fight. What could two best friends be fighting over? Now, a lot of people are making a lot of different claims. Like, after the incident happened and Tory was locked up, he called Kelsey from jail, apologizing, just saying he was sorry. He was completely drunk that night. He's sorry for everything that happened. He never specifically speaks to doing anything or anybody else doing anything. He doesn't point the finger. He doesn't snitch on anybody. Throughout the trial, he stated very, very plainly that he didn't shoot off the gun, but neither did Kelsey. Make things a bit tricky. But we're here now. We're here now with this new evidence where you're hearing this witness, Sean Kelly, say, hey, Kelsey and Meg was fighting. They exited the vehicle. There was a confrontation. It got violent. Like, what are we talking about? It got violent. However, this claim contradicts the official narrative, which led to Tory Lanez's conviction for the shooting. Kelly's testimony was presented in court, but it did not sway the jury, apparently, which convicted Tory of first-degree assault and related charges. To me, in all of this happening, all of this is tragic. There ain't no other way to look at it, right? And only those four people, including Sean Kelly now, Tory, Meg, Kelsey, and Sean Kelly, only they really know what happened that night. And there's so many questions. There's so many questions that I feel like the public never asked. They're asking now because, again, this bombshell evidence is coming out again. But it's like, why was Kelsey given immunity? If she didn't do anything, if she had no ties to anything, why was she given immunity? Why was the DNA found on the gun that of hers more than anybody else's and not Tory's? Why aren't we talking about two best friends who, what it seems like, have found out they were sleeping with the same person and the type of embarrassment, anger, and confrontation that it caused between the two of them, that really led to a situation. I mean, if you mix Casamigos with a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of envy, some ego and some pride, that is a concoction for destruction. As we see here back in 2020 on that night, at Kylie's pool party. We know by no means do we want to make this seem like Tory was just this guy out here getting yelling, moving around and doing this thing without a care in the world, because the mere fact that he called Kelsey after the incident to apologize, and also stated the fact in that same call that, man, he knew Megan's never going to talk to him again, and still asked how she was doing. I think it says a lot about who did what in this situation. Just certain facts that people are not trying to look at. So let's get back to this new evidence, right? Tory's team argues that the new evidence challenges the prosecution's version of events, claiming that physical evidence and the timeline of the incident do not align with the conviction. In addition to Kelly's testimony, so this is the bodyguard now, Tory's bodyguard, Jaquan Smith, provided a statement about breaking up the fight, but was unable to confirm who fired the gun. So what it sounds like is a lot of people didn't want to snitch. I don't know who got to who or who was coerced in the situation, but a lot of people didn't want to tell the truth. There was another bodyguard, Bradley James, who claimed to have overheard Kelsey admitting to firing the gun before Tory intervened. So this bodyguard, Bradley James, is actually Kelsey's bodyguard, who overheard her speaking to someone else after the fact, after Tory was already convicted in jail. Heard somebody speaking. He heard Kelsey speaking to somebody about how she was the one that ultimately fired the gun. And Tory, actually, the only reason why there was even an inkling of his DNA on the gun is because he slapped it out of her hand. Man, I mean, right now Tory's doing time for that bid, right? I think he got 10 years and he's already been in jail for what, 2.5 years, something like that, right? And I think this is so tragic for so many reasons. It's tragic for so many reasons because you can look at the evidence clear as day and know that Tory Lanez did not shoot Megan. Right? When you go back and you look initially from that night and you hear the police questioning Megan and what happened to her, never once did she say in that first interaction with the police that Tory shot her. She would come out later and state that he shot her. And then she would make claims that she's saying this. She said he didn't shoot her at first because she didn't want to see another black man get murdered. She stands on this notion to protect black women, and don't get it twisted. We need to protect black women. That's never up for discussion. But we have to speak about the lengths that Megan Thee Stallion and her management team are going through to destroy this black man, this young black man who has a family, who is the breadwinner in his family, who employs family, who employs a lot of other people, who then are feeding their families, right? We have to understand how shady the tactics are being used against him. And in present day, man, Tory Lanez was just stabbed up 14 times in jail, right? And people are already speculating who's behind that, because, the dude that did it, they're trying to make it seem like it's a race war in jail, but it doesn't add up. Him and this guy used to be cool. And that's out of the words of the guy's mouth who stabbed him up 14 times. But, it's weird. It's weird that this guy, all of a sudden, this new evidence comes down. Prosecution team, they're all aware of it, right? Before it comes out, they're all aware of it. And he gets stabbed 14 times. And people don't want to be like, oh, conspiracy. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard not to think there's a conspiracy going on here. It really is. So prayers up for Tory. Thank God that he's okay. Thank God he didn't lose his life in that stabbing, because man, it would be tragic. And at the end of the day, everybody's going to have their own views and their own perspective about who they think did what. I just think it's interesting that his DNA cannot be on the gun, cannot be on the magazine of the gun, and he can still go to jail for shooting someone who never actually was shot. It was said that it was glass that cut her foot. It makes sense. She was out the car, walking backwards. There's glass all in the street. I mean, it's tragic. It's tragic. And we know, I still ask, why did Kelsey get immunity? And we know Kelsey and Megan do not mess with each other in present time. Why is no one talking about the fact that these two women who are best friends no longer mess with each other on no other level? And what would give Kelsey the audacity to have this conversation with her body, with whoever this person was she was having this conversation with, open and honestly saying that Tory never fired the gun, it was her? Who would do that? Like, who would have the audacity? So moving on, Lanez's attorneys also dispute medical reports that stated Megan's foot injuries were caused by gunshot wounds, suggesting they were instead from broken glass. Tory himself has repeatedly maintained his innocence and released videos in which Megan appeared to suggest she had stepped on glass rather than being shot. Why has none of this been entered into evidence? Initially, right? It's crazy. So all this new evidence has sparked and reignited public debate. Tory's team is hoping it will prompt a shift in both public opinion and the legal proceedings, potentially paving the way for an appeal for him. And I mean, you need to let that young man out, because he's clearly not guilty for shooting this woman. Clearly, he is fully aware of the part he played in what made this transpire. What it looks like is two jealous best friends who honestly are caught each other, you know what I mean, sleeping with the same dude, and as a result of that made some terrible decisions that ultimately have an innocent young black man locked in jail. And again, Meg's management team, we're not going to name names because we know who it is, her management team is run by powerful black people. So you really look at the situation and it makes you think, wow. It really makes you think. Why are you working this hard to keep this young black man in jail? Is it because he's independent? Is it because there's talks of him starting his own distribution company? Is it because he declined the management team that manages Megan Thee Stallion? We have to really look at the politics of the industry, and when our powerful young black leaders and artists and whatever, when they want to move into spaces where they own their own distribution or start their own distribution companies and talk ownership and talk severing ties from the powers that be, they always end up dead somehow. You know, Tupac and Biggie were no different. A lot of people don't know this, but Tupac and Biggie they were talking about starting their own distribution company before the two of them, before they, you know, the powers that be created this narrative around them as if they were enemies and had beef amongst each other. And they had people on their own teams. Like, I'm not gonna say no names. One of those people's on trial fighting for his life right now. They had people on their own teams that were plotting against them so that they couldn't move into these positions of power and ownership. So we need to start having conversations about who holding the keys in the culture, and fighting and really standing 10 toes down for the real ones, man. And in my eyes and my view, Tory is a real one. I don't wish harm to nobody. No female, nobody at all. And if anybody harms someone, they should be brought to justice. But it's clear as day, plain as day, that Tory is innocent in this situation. And I truly believe that he stands on faith, his family stands on faith, and the truth will prevail. Prayers up for Tory. Glad that he's healing from the recent attack in jail. And Meg and Kelsey, you can't run from your demons. And with that being said, man, remember to dot your I's and cross your T's, because Ain't no love in these streets. You feel me? Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share, man. That's how we keep these videos coming and how we keep the algorithm feeding y'all. You feel me? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of DoubleTake Diaries. It's Sinz. We out. Yay.